is happening, guys? COD Blackout Kid here, coming at you with another awesome video. So today yesterday I bought a really awesome deal that Micro Center like to do. Micro Center, shout out to Micro Center. So I managed to pick up AM5 motherboard, the ROG Strix B650A gaming Wi-Fi motherboard. Not only is it white, it's got some silver accents. It's AM5, 16 or 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. This is the G-Skill brand. Picked up the AM5 Ryzen 5 7600X 3D CPU. This is probably the fastest 6-core gaming processor on the planet. We'll see, I guess. I don't know. 6-core? There's no 96 Ryzen 5 9600X 3D yet. So we're going to be updating my benchmark computer. Right now that was running an Ryzen 5 5500 on a B450 motherboard. So we're going to be taking that out so we can start there, or we can start here. It doesn't really matter. We're going to probably take my board off the bench and start there. So AM4 is not end of life because they continue to keep making CPUs for it. But it's nice to get that understatement. So I'm going to take the power connector off. This is for the CPU. I got this kind of tested back. This is a nice test bench. I'll have the link on Amazon to this bench, this CPU benchmark. You can also use this as a normal gaming case, open air, whatever. This is some stuff I 3D printed for the AIO and stuff like that. So if you want some things to that, please let me know down below. Take the 24 pin off. This will be for the power of the motherboard. So we'll take that off. Okay. Take our SATA. Since we don't really even use SATA out anymore. Let's take our NVMe drive out because we'll need that. Really only thing I need to take off is the cooler, and the GPU is easy. Just plop this back and pull. Press down on this and just pull up. So, nice. Plop this away. Okay. I'm going to take the cooler off. This is the Thermalright CPU cooler. This thing is really great, honestly. I have had no problems with this whatsoever. Great motherboard, good price to performance, and it just does really good. Can't complain in the slightest. So, okay, that comes off. Okay, CPU has been nice and shiny again. I use cotton balls. They're cheap. I got these for $1.29 for 1,000. Actually 500. And then I'm gonna put this because this is our CPU cooler. I take that and just rub this off as well. Get that nice and taken care of. What we're gonna be doing first, we can kind of get our that out of the way. We're gonna build the motherboard on the box. So this is the ASRock B650. Got an integrated I/O shield, HDMI display port if you're ever need to troubleshoot. It's got a BIOS flashback button, 2 USB 10 gig 3 USB ports, USBs, a BIOS USB Type C for 10 gig, 2.5 gig LAN, another Type C, another Type C, another. So it's full of I/O. Wi-Fi antennas as well because this has got Wi-Fi 6E, which we'll have right here. Comes with its own antenna. What are the nice things too? Let's see what else we got. Got some SATA, zip ties, M.2 screw, some 3M tape, stickers, more stickers. Slice the CPU into this. One of the nice things is this has got a retention arm for the GPU. You can see that this, let me see, retention arm right here. So this is the retention that you'd usually press, like down here, that you press back to get the GPU out. This, you just press this button right here, the little thing releases the GPU. It's really nice little. It's nice that they're keeping to support that. So you can kind of start with a motherboard installation. I like to build it outside of the case. One, it's easier for getting things in. I like to start with the RAM, and we're going to place this DDR5 6000. I think it's actually 6400. Yeah, it's 6400 32 gig RAM sticks. I used to have this in my computer before I upgraded to 64 gigs. So we're going to place these in the end slots here. That's usually the tried and true spots for these. So if you notice the teeth, I like to put them right here if this is your first time building. They'll have to match up. If you put it in one slot, like these, for example, these don't go down. These go down over here. So we're going to install these in these two slots right here. These will give you best optimal speeds. So if you press down on one side and it doesn't go in on the other side, don't force it down. Just pop it up, spin it around. So you want to make sure it's in the slot. Press down on the end that doesn't click. Press down on the other side and firmly press in all the way till this little latch here flips back into position. So you can try that again. Open it up. And notice how this is G-skills orientated that way. This is the correct positioning. So get it lined up on the slot. Line this in. Press down with both sides until they both click in. Those are good to go. This would be a good time to mount your SSD. I'm going to be putting in a Crucial M2 T500. This is a 1 terabyte Gen 4 drive. Pretty much top of the line as it's going to get. We could go, I guess, Gen 5 NVMe, but, you know, I don't care about all that. Top slot is the best. This is for Gen 5s. These are probably Gen 4. We're going to be putting this in the top slot. This is the best way to do it, in my personal opinion. Sometimes it takes some bandwidth away from the GPU if your CPU is performing well for, is not performing well with how many PCIe lanes it has. The PCI lanes that we have for our CPU in specific will not throttle anything, so don't. Okay, so what's nice is that it's got a pre-attached latch here. We can throw our NVMe in too. So again, if it's only one way, there's no other way to put it. This you can just spin and it latches the NVMe into place. On the back side of this will be a thermal adhesion layer. Please remove this. The CPU the NVMe SSD will need proper cooling. If we look at the other NVMe slots, we're going to have all of the rest there. I would keep these on, but for now, we don't need those. So you'll put that in the same way you did, with that little gap showing there, and we can slop down. Before we go too much farther along, I want to kind of talk about the motherboard here. So again, these are, for capture cards, sound cards, another slot for a GPU if possible. Usually you're not going to be installing it down here. It's always going to be in the top slot. There is some tape here, just protecting some logos. This would be a good time for ripping any of them off if there is. Right now there's none besides right here and on the IO shield. So those are now off. I don't think there's anything else. To kind of describe things, this is going to be your HD audio port. If you have one, this case does not have a headphone jack as it's a test bench. You got a fan header down here. You got a debug comm, which nobody really has for the most part. This is a RGB header. It does say 5 volt, and it does say add Gen 3 2-3, as well as another one. A CPU debugger, if you had one. USB connections for your motherboard case, another one. A whole IO for power reset switch, another fan cable here, another RGB cable up at the top here. So another RGB cable here, a 4-pin addressable header, and a CPU fan header here, as well as 2 more fan cables here. One would be for an AI pump specifically, that's pointing to the top, and CPU fan below. This shows that it is a LGA 1718, which is the appropriate CPU for this. One of the kind of the cool things here is you have the pitfall. I think these are the pitfall. This is Pac-Man, which is kind of cool. I just think that's a nice little addition. All right, the most scary part for some people, installing the Ryzen 5 or any Ryzen 5 CPU. Intel especially is kind of in that boat. AM4, the biggest thing was installing the CPU. This is like a builder's worst nightmare, I guess. The Ryzen 5 7600 X3D. Thank you, Micro Center, for always having abundant stuff in stock. So CPU, little triangle at the top here. The motherboard, for example, if we get over to this way, CPU, once you pull this retention arm back right here, will lift up. This allows you to pull this socket up. Now, notice one thing, the triangle will have a little triangle on this motherboard showing right here. Align the triangles up. Let it just lay into position. Give it a little wiggle to make sure it's in place and fully seated. Now, lay the retention arm down over top. Make sure that this is in the right position. So, again, make sure this is in the right position. Give it a little bit of wiggle. Lay the arm down. Lay this. This is going to slide up into position. This feels wrong, but I trust you it's not. Slide this forward. Get it into position, and this will come off. So, again, it feels not great. It feels like it's going to break. Trust me, it's just the retention arm doing its thing. Again, everything here, lay the arm down, place this into position, and just press into place. Complete. Now, this is where you would put a air cooler on or anything like that. The motherboard at this point is complete. Give yourself a round of applause. Your computer will potentially work. There's always some problems. So again, you'll have your 24 pin on the CPU, and we'll kind of show you that right real quick. To get this just set in stone, we're going to give this a nice test boot. We're just going to place this onto our test board, and we'll pull this around this way for you guys to see. So first thing we need to make sure that things are going to work. So this is our AIO pump. We're going to just put this into our controller here. And it's only a 3-pin because it's a Thermalright, but these are solid AIOs. I love these things. Our RGB, to make sure we have RGB, is already fully connected. So we're just going to plug that back into its original spot. We also have fans, so we're going to plug that into the top slot here. And so I've already done a lot of the routing and things like that. So let's plug our 24-pin in connector because it's basically just transposing. Already getting power, which is not a good sign. Let's power the power supply off. Let's plug this in. Let me flash and then die out. So this is using a 4-pin and a 8-pin connector for the CPU. GPU cables are complete. So this is not useful for probably everybody that is watching, but power switch, there will be a little label on this motherboard. On this label right here, they usually have, where the little cables go. So for example, power switch is in this 2 lanes above right here. So this is our power switch. Be plugging these in right here. So 2 slots above. And our power is working. We have an LED button as well, and that's just right below it. Or power LED is right next to it, with the plus being on the left and negative on the right. So if we just hold it together in the right orientation, just press down a little bit, we have liftoff. We're also going to plug in our SATA cable because our NVIDIA SSD is powered through SATA, which is fine. Now, to get this tested without having to put my AIO back on, and most people would have an air cooler. Ryzen unfortunately doesn't come with anything pre-stocked. So I don't really recommend people to do this. I am going to put our pump block on top of it just because it will give it proper cooling. And then we will just hit the power button. Oh, I got to turn the power supply back on. Let's get switched over to power supply is on. One thing that's nice about this computer is, oops, Jesus. It has a LED debug right here, right by our RGB connector, that tells us where it's at in the whole process. Right now it's shining red on the CPU. It's debugged, and we probably have a video, or will here shortly. Boom. Now we're going to turn this off before we cause irreparable damage, and we are all set to go. A very quick and easy way how to determine things are functional. We're going to turn the power supply back off. If we have everything fully functional, the one thing we need to do is remount our CPU AIO and get the motherboard in place. I'm going to do the motherboard in place first. That's just easier for me in terms of this computer specifically. So let's go ahead and do that. Installing our Thermalright AIO is pretty easy. This one specifically can be a pain sometimes, so I want to mount it like this. So we the Arctic M6 thermal paste. I usually just kind of give it a pattern. Kind of give it a couple dots on the side. That's really all we need. Okay. So these ones you press down and they latch into the AM4 regular sockets. It's pretty easy. The problem is you just want to get the back one latched first. It's on. Okay, that one's on. And boom. CPU cooler is on. Start a little bit here. Start a little bit there. Start a little bit here. Perfect. Now, we have everything kind of ready to go here. Kind of move things back. Which GPU do we want to install? We'll do the 90. Why not? It's a great budget card, the 9060 XT. This is in my review a couple weeks back, and it was using my Ryzen 7 7800X3D. So I guess this is a good way to figure out, what's the better card, I guess. So just line this up. Boom! Installed. This is probably where we should. I'm going to clean up a little bit. I keep turning this system off on accident. So we just basically reset the TPM. I like to enable Expo. Expo, it's usually right in the beginning. Every motherboard on AM5 specifically too has, oh my God. This is overclocking your RAM to the RAM specifications. Secondly, turn resizable bar on. It's already usually on by default. So to get Windows 11, I usually just type in Windows 11 USB installer. This will bring you to the creation media tool. You can click on the AI over tool or this link. I'll have this linked in the comment section below. Installation Assistant is something that when you have a system already running, you're going to want to go to Disk Image ISO. Click here for multi-x84 devices. And before you download, it's going to want you to make sure that you have Windows 11. Hit confirm. What it will do is it will download a regional. You can download whatever you want. I'm English specifically. Hit confirm. What will happen is it will download a program onto your 64-bit download. This is the disk file image. I usually just download Rufus, and you can create a bootable install.
So again, how to make Windows 11 be installable. So you can run the top one here for the standard version. Okay, hit save. I'm pretty sure I already have Rufus. So run Rufus. So you'll want to select the drive. So you want it to be a disk image. You'll select the Windows version. Oops, I'm just going to type in 24H2, 24H2. You'll hit open. You'll want to click on the hard drive that it's available, and then it'll hit start. That's literally about it. Boot menu, we're going to want to use partition 1. Oh, it just immediately jumps to it. Holy shit. Okay. So we're over here on our local computer. We're English. I'll show you how I kind of set it up. Install Windows 11. Hit next. Say I don't have a product key. It'll do a couple things here shortly. It'll ask you which version you want. I'll do Windows 11 or Windows 11 Pro. Hit accept. Sorry. So you're going to want to install Windows 11. It's going to scan for disks. There's a couple of things that will happen here. This is going to be our test bench game is disk 1. Disk 2 is our USB partition, so you don't want to touch any of that. If you're trying to reformat a drive that already has something, just make sure which one you're doing it. I label mine very capable. This is my benchmark games. This is the disk I want to put on it. This is the 1 terabyte. Hit next. And we're going to install Windows 11. It'll prompt to this page. It will load for a while. It may reboot a couple times as well, so just keep that in mind. All right, we are installing Windows. It seems like a pretty straightforward process, but there are some things that people don't get right about the setup. Shift F10, click OOBE/bypass NRO. The system will then reboot. Because Ryzen and Intel have not been including drivers within their software suite, you don't have Wi-Fi or Ethernet when you get your motherboard, which is a pain in the ass because then you have no way to make an offline account. You need to be connected to the internet. It makes Windows installation an absolute pain in the ass. So we're going to go back through and use United States, US, skip the second keyboard. I don't have internet now, which was never a original design. I'm going to do AMD test bench. Password, super secret, no one will ever know. Security questions, I hit down on the D-pad, hit tab, type in a little, and I do it like a letter of your initials, stuff like that. It doesn't really matter. Location is nice if you're going to be using it for websites. I turn that off, find my device off, diagnostic data, inc, tailored, and advertising ID. Turn those all off. Whether or not they actually matter, who knows. This is, of course, to install an offline experience. This allows you to also connect to the internet once Windows is getting things ready for me. Now we have the internet. See how that just works magically? You can download the drivers through Armory Crate. That's entirely up to you. I'll let it do its thing, and then I'll immediately uninstall it. So Microsoft 365, we're uninstalling. This is just stuff that we don't need on this system. If you're going to use this for school and work, I would go for it. Sorry, Solitaire, goodbye. LinkedIn, goodbye. And then, so you can close all apps, accessibility. You'll have all of your accessibility options. Game bar, people swear that you just uninstall it. I don't really care that much. Uninstall Teams, to do, news. Edge is actually pretty decent. We're going to keep that. OneDrive you could uninstall if you want. I'm going to, because it's a pain in the ass, and I don't need OneDrive anyways. So OneDrive, uninstall, yes. Yes. As I go into our account, I type in power in the settings, hit power setting and actions, turn this to best performance within power mode. I also go in here, screen brightness, it doesn't really matter. Turn my screen off for 3 minutes. I don't listen to any of these. I go back. I go to, Armory Crate's done. So pressing the button, what it does, go back one more. I'm going to type back in here power again and do power, sleep, and battery settings, or change this one right here. Type in game mode settings. Game mode is on. It's going to optimize that graphics once everything is enabled. Optimize for Windows games, and things are working properly currently. So this is Armor Crate. You can accept it or deny it. Now that we have internet, you can do one or two things. It's nice to do it this way. The other way you can do it is do system information. This will give you a couple of things, but this will also give you your motherboard's specific product. Hit copy on this. This is baseboard product. Go to Edge, and we're going to start without our data. Continue, continue, continue. Plop that up in here. Remove the base product. Hit Enter, and we're going to go to the support page. So we'll go here, hit accept, sure. We're going to the support page. Go to driver and tools. We're going to want to select our operating system, so Windows 10, 11. You can do our Wi-Fi drivers, wireless drivers, chipset, audio, VGA, Bluetooth, utility, SATA, and Armory, as well as you have your command here. Go to driver and support, and BIOS and firmware. Whatever it is currently, screw off AI companion. You're just gonna fucking deny me my request anyways. Oh shit! Driver and tools, BIOS firmware, Windows 11, BIOS and firmware. So we're gonna want to download the newest BIOS revision, updated BIOS compatibility, enhanced system performance and stability, and the update is reversible and rolling back to as not supported. Before we download the newest update, we want to make sure there's nothing that requires us to download another BIOS before running US. Please rename this to that. The BIOS file using BIOS renamer. So we're going to download this. I've never heard of having to do that, but so we have a flash drive from our Windows operating system in here. Oh, it is running BIOS renamer. Run. What? Before running the BIOS flashback tool, please rename the BIOS using BIOS renamer. Extract. BIOS renamer. It's been renamed to use BIOS black. Copy that and to the root of your USB flash drive. Hit enter. I see. So throw it here, and it's a photo. What the fuck? Okay, we're learning this on the fly, huh? Anything on here that I don't know what it does. We're going to go to support and go to drivers and tools. And Windows 11 is the Windows we're on. We're going to do the LAN drivers. Even though we've already have LAN working, want to make sure that's done. I like to install them one at a time just because you can get very confusing very quickly. So Asus setup, run. Oh, I gotta extract it. Let's see. Right click, hit extract all. Then run the Asus setup. Hit yes. And that'll start doing its thing. Okay. And it should be popping up here shortly. We'll download the wireless drivers, although we're not going to use wireless for it. If we go to sell this, we want it to work well. So if you have a graphics card, you'll want to check out your Windows has probably done its thing by now to getting the drive, at least the AMD card recognized. Going into here, we can make sure we got all the right stuff, make sure there's nothing that we don't want on here. We're going to then go to settings. I'm going to go to Windows Update and hit check for updates. We want to make sure we're on the most recent Windows version. It's going to download, Logitech drivers, AMD stuff, net drivers, removal tool for malicious content, and stuff like that. It'll do its thing. Give it some time. In the meantime, we're going to download our AMD drivers. So AMD RX 9060 XT drivers. Run that. We'll do accept Windows 11. And let's hit, we'll do the revision that we want. That will install. We'll just minimize this. We're also going to download MSI Afterburner as well. This is just one of our things. Download that. Do Steam. All right, so it looks like Windows updates are complete. Let's hit restart now. E button while it's rebooting. Let's see what happens. Okay. We're in. We're going to take a look at the BIOS revision. So we're going to enable Expo because that was not on. Big. So we're going to check out the BIOS revision. Where is the BIOS in here? Where do I see that at? Let's do, where is the BIOS? 22, nope, that's, yeah, version 22.22.1284. So let's boot, let's exit and save. Let's see what happens. Oh, Keo's checking out the PC. Hey. Let's take a look at what BIOS revisions we were looking at. Let's see. I'm going to go back to support and I'm going to double check driver and tools, BIOS and firmware. We're at what did it say? 22. Well, this doesn't even fucking show 22. Fuck off, Microsoft. So 22 what? Probably in this area. Probably right here. Okay, it doesn't seem like there's... And so now, where do we go to update the BIOS? Let's turn off easy mode. Tool. Asus scan. Jesus, I don't know. There we go. Please back up your BitLocker recovery keys and subscribe BitLocker encryption and operating system before updating your BIOS. To avoid unpredictable situation, please load the device. Okay. Yes. Moment of truth time. Hopefully that didn't just break everything. Oh, it's still working. We did it. It's updating.
This week, you gotta get nuts.
Oh, yeah! Sorry, Keo. Disabled? You bitch. Yeah, the BIOS feels so much nicer. Resizable bars on. And save and exit. Yes, sir. Install some games. That's it. That's a pretty much deep dive into... now we can install our AMD drivers. Now that Windows is installed, I usually leave this for the end after Windows installation because sometimes the Windows 11 installation can cause some issues between Windows 11's updating software and everything else. So it's best just to leave this for the end. That's just my personal opinion. You can do this at the beginning. I'd prefer to do it after all the software has been deployed because sometimes it causes a lot of issues, especially with AMD drivers. So we detect our graphics, accept Express install, and it'll just do its thing. You'll reset it, your computer after it's installed, and you're good to go, basically. Let me know what you guys want me to play for the benchmarking video coming soon. And I appreciate you guys. Love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.